what's happening? Welcome back. Now I'm pretty excited today. We're going to start on this mountain board with the street wheels. I've been super keen to get into this build. I know 2 videos ago I said we're going to go 4-wheel drive, but since then I've changed my mind. I'm now going to go with the StormCore, and instead of going 12S 4-wheel drive, I'm going to go 18S 2-wheel drive. So let's rip into it. Alright, so first step is getting the wheels fitted. Now, these have a really long axle to cater for the wide MBS rims. Now these street wheels between the bearings is a lot skinnier, so I've had to come up with an idea to space them. I basically need to space them 2 bearing sizes. So I was thinking about putting bearings on the axle, but I can't just run it like that, or the outer bearing kind of hits on the wheel and it's not sitting in against that inner race on that bearing. I've come up with this idea for now. I'm going to use a bearing and an inner race, and I'll eventually get the right size spacers made up for it. So bearing goes on, inner race, wheel, nut. Alright, and that's done. So I'll show you how I got that little inner race out. So I've got to destroy a bearing, but that's a good bearing. This one doesn't sound good at all. I've obviously ran it a fair bit. It sounds pretty chunky, so we'll go and cut this bearing so I can get that inner race out. So you just cut into that first outer race, top and bottom, and now when I undo this, I'll be able to pull the bearing apart and use the middle bit I need. There you have it, a perfect hardened little spacer. How good does that look? Both front wheels are on there. Look at that low wide stance. I love that. So let's start on the back. Alright, so on the back, I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do. I did order a bag of washers. I think I might just stack some washers now. The bearing, I can't use the bearing method because it just runs into the pulley. So I might just stack it with washers for now and see how it looks. This thing just looks sick. Let's check it out. Alright, next step is fitting this enclosure. Now, this enclosure did have a Flip Sky 6.6 Plus in it, so it's a bit smaller than the StormCore, but it looks like it's going to fit in there really nicely. What I really like about this is the position of the XT90 is actually up inside the case, so when this is plugged in, it's going to be pretty much flush. And yeah, it'll be a really neat, really tidy, and that hole looks about the right size for the buttons, so let's get this fitted up. I've made that slot in the back wider. With the last ESC, they're a lot closer, so I just had to widen it. I'll silicone that up the best I can. Now I had a hole coming out of the corner of this one, but having that XT90 right up the center, I think I'm going to have to drill a new hole But I will try and run the wires along there and poke them out there and see how I go. So now I'll make a lead. Wires are soldered on. I'm going to try and fit this into here. I'm not sure if my XT90 is going to quite fit. I might just file down these edges a little bit and try again. Alright, so after a little bit of mucking around just on the linisher, I got it in there. It was just a bit tight, and how good is that? No connector sticking out at all, so you can run it nice and neat and really tight against the StormCore itself. So let's try and get it in here. That is such a perfect fit in there. I'm not sure if there's going to be enough room for the button. We'll see how we go. The receiver, it's going to be tight for the receiver as well. This is the Pelican case. I think it's like the 1030 or something like that. I'll have to have another look and see. Here's the button. Comes with an O-ring as well. So we'll slip that on, help keep that moisture out. It's a perfect fit for the hole I already had there. That's not ideal how that opens up and pulls on that wire, but the hole's already there. I'm just gonna have to be careful when opening and closing it. The next step is gonna be receiver. Remote I'll be using is the VX1 remote. All right, now I always forget to solder in the extra power wire when I'm doing the connections for the XT90. You should always use another little connector. You know, if you're using PPM, you just use this wire on the end, and that brings your voltage up on your remote. But I just thought about it, and since I'm running 18S on this board, there is actually no 18S option on the remote to give you any sort of battery readout. On the VX1 remote, you can set it for, I think it's 6S, 8S, 10S or 12S. So we can't set it for 18 anyway, so I'm not gonna have to worry about that. Plug the PPM wire in, plug this in the right way, and that'll be it done. So that is really good fitment. That's gonna work really well. That goes on there. If you can see there, they're the sensor wire plugs right there. So they're gonna fit really nicely as well. And yeah, that turned out way better than I was expecting. So next step, I wanna get a length for these wires. I'm gonna run them over that binding into my battery box. So that's how they're gonna go. They're gonna go inside that binding, and hopefully I've still got a bit of that plastic braided mesh that I can cover up those wires with. And then I'll run it into the box here, and I'm gonna have to have 3 XT90 series connections in here. So my plan for the battery is to run 3 6S in series, 6, 12, 18. I've already got 2 of these 8 amp hour 6S Turnigy graphines. These have done probably 3 or 4 cycles, and I've just ordered another one, so it's on its way. And 3 of those are gonna fit in that box with plenty of room. If I love this setup, I've also got 2 20 amp hours that I run for my mountain board on 12S. I might even look at buying another 20 amp hour one if I enjoy this setup. The best thing about this is I can swap these wheels over, and I can just run 2 different size belts and 2 different sets of wheels and go AT or street. But yeah, I'll see how reliable this StormCore on 18S is gonna be. Hopefully it works out. So for now, I'll have to make a series connector. I'm gonna have the main negative on this side, the positive going to this connection, and then I'm gonna have to link these ones here and here, and that'll give me 18S coming out through to these main wires that go to the StormCore. And yeah, that'll be pretty scary plugging that in, so we'll give it a go, see what happens. A bit of a mission, but I've made that connector. So 3 6S lipos, plug in that end. I put a anti-spark XT90 on that end. Goes into the box, into the StormCore. So what I'm going to do is unplug it from the StormCore. I'm going to plug 3 6S batteries in, and I'm going to make sure polarity is correct at the end here. So let's do that now. Making sure not to touch my probes together. 70 volts is a fair bit, so I could imagine that would let off a decent sized spark. That is spot on, so I'm happy with that. I'm still wary of plugging it in. I'm not going to plug it in yet. I'll save it for now and yeah, do it on the next one. So that's it. Final product will be those 3 like that. Into the anti-spark XT90. You're good to go. So on this one, all I'm waiting for is the motor mounts from Liam at Radium. Maytech motors. I always seem to use Maytech. They just seem to be reliable. And when you order them, they turn up within the week normally. Yeah, super fast, super easy to deal with. So I haven't had any problems with Maytech. Them ones are a super low kV. They're only 90 kV for the 18 cell. So we'll have to see how that goes. Waiting on motor mounts and I can fit up the rear. And yeah, that'll be about it. Should be ready to go. Oh, well, thanks again for watching. Let me know if anyone's done anything like this, any do's or don'ts, or if I should do something different. And yeah, it's just scary with this high voltage that I've never done before. So thanks for watching. Until the next one. Cheers.